How often do you get a delivery from UPS? The company delivers about a third of all the country's packages, more than FedEx or the Postal Service. And its contract with union workers expires at the end of this month, leading to growing worries that there could be a nationwide strike. Negotiations have pretty much broken down, and workers say they are prepared to picket.
What do we want? Contract! We don't get it! Shut it down!
Across the country, we're seeing UPS workers already at these practice pickets, and that includes here locally. This right here is recent video from Olean, where members of Teamsters Local 264 prepared for a potential strike with this demonstration outside a UPS facility there. Now, that local represents about 115 UPS union members in Dunkirk, Jamestown, and Olean. That is on top of about 1,000 union workers who are part of Local 449. That's out of Buffalo. A strike would have a major impact on these workers and their families, but we really would all feel the effects in terms of the hit this would have on the shipping industry here and nationwide. Joining us live with some insight now is Arthur Wheaton, Director of Labor Studies at Cornell University's School of Industrial and Labor Relations. Sir, we appreciate you taking some time for us, and I want to start there with what the president of the Teamsters Union said about the ongoing negotiations and the potential for a strike. Listen to this part of an interview.
People are finally realizing it's about Main Street. It's not about Wall Street anymore. And the people that provide the goods and services should be rewarded accordingly. UPS has the right opportunity right now to be the model of how corporations should treat their people. They should be out there making certain that they are paying these folks the right way, making sure they're providing good working conditions. And look, anything that happens on July 31st or after that, if we don't get an agreement, that's a self-inflicted wound.
So it sounds like the union has really asked for its best and final offer. They claim that UPS came up short and that we seem to be moving quickly toward a strike. Is that how you view this right now, or is there time to avoid this?
There is time to avoid it, but I think you're pretty correct. I think the Teamsters president was very disappointed in the latest offer from UPS, and the offer was not good enough for him to recommend it to the membership for ratification. So they didn't even put it to a vote because they didn't feel it was worth the effort because it was not good enough. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much UPS means to the country and to Western New York in particular.
Yeah, I want to talk about that impact if a strike were to actually happen. We'll show our viewers some of the numbers. This would be the largest single employer strike in U.S. history. We're talking about a total here of about 340,000 UPS employees that would be on picket lines across America. NBC News says that logistics experts have claimed that even just a few days of a work stoppage would just be too much for FedEx or the U.S. Postal Service to sort of absorb. And in terms of the timing, this could all be happening right on the front end of back to school shopping season. So for people watching right now, what type of impact do you think this could have if this strike goes through?
For the customer, for their packages being delivered to their home, it will have some impact, but it'll have a much bigger impact on businesses that depend on that for just-in-time delivery and getting goods in the store and just getting packages delivered. Anyone who's been watching since COVID knows that we have a very stressed logistical system in the U.S., whether it was computer chips or whether it was couldn't get the baby food and formula on the shelves. Having one of your largest transportation companies on strike only makes that worse.
In terms of how this is going to play out, who do you believe has the leverage in this negotiation, and how does that factor into the likelihood that we might be able to avoid a strike?
I think right now the leverage is with the Teamsters and the unions in general in the United States. We've seen COVID put a huge impact on our logistical system. They need all of the workers at work. We've seen very high inflation rates, so the workers are demanding increases in their pay. And we've also seen very low unemployment numbers where people are clamoring to hire more people. So all of those things are in the benefit of the union. And for UPS, they've been extremely profitable. So it's difficult for them to say, oh, we can't afford it because they've made huge profits. And in particular, since COVID, with all of the increase in the shipping. When UPS and Teamsters had a strike in 1997, there were only about 185,000 employees involved. Now you're almost double at 340,000. So UPS has grown by leaps and bounds since they had the last strike in 1997. And I think they're going to have to try to pay a lot more than they want to be able to stop a strike.
Yeah, it's such a different world now than in the late 90s, right? I mean, you mentioned this. So many of us rely on UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service, Amazon Logistics, because so much of how we do our shopping now is online, right? And it gets delivered to your home. That's not to mention medicine and other critical deliveries. So this would obviously be very disruptive just to our everyday lives. Big picture, though, could this also hurt the economy? And you mentioned inflation is still high. It seems like the economy is sort of teetering to an extent. How big of an impact could this have?
It'd have a pretty big impact on the economy, that it will stop a lot of the transportation if you don't have the things in the store on the shelves, it's harder to sell them. And any disruption in the supply chain hurts the economy. What most people don't understand is there's different labor law depending on who goes out on strike. For when the railway workers tried to go out on strike, Congress blocked them because they're under the Railway Labor Act. UPS is under the National Labor Relations Act, and the president is not likely to step in and stop it because it's not part of that labor law. That's what President Clinton said in 1997, saying unless it destroys the economy, the Congress won't step in, because there's really no path for the federal government to do it unless it's an extreme crisis.
Something to follow for sure. Arthur Wheaton is the director of labor studies at Cornell University's ILR School. Sir, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.